What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Dirty Bird Fly Through. And finally, the Falcons get a win. We can finally rejoice for 1 week. We can celebrate a victory, celebrate Victory Monday. And it couldn't have come against a more fitting opponent because despite everything that the Falcons had been thrown at the past 5 weeks, and especially this past week, with the injury to Michael Penix putting him out for the year, Drake London being out for this game, Billy Bowman going down late in the week with an Achilles injury that will have him out for the rest of the season. They didn't care. They went into New Orleans. They got a win against a Saints team that was treating this game like their Super Bowl, and we sent them the hell out of their own stadium looking absolutely embarrassing. They dressed for their funeral yesterday. It definitely was their funeral yesterday. The Falcons went in there. They kicked some ass for 3 hours in New Orleans. They got out with a win. They take back the all-time series, at least for a couple weeks. And it feels really good. It always feels good to beat the Aints. And it feels good to finally get back in the win column. And there were a lot of things that the Falcons, they had to work without yesterday. This was a Falcons team that going in this game was going to be tested. This was not a game that you could win to necessarily even get back in the playoff conversation. This is just a game you had to win just to save the morale, just to essentially stop the bleeding. And that's what the Falcons really did yesterday. We saw a lot of efficiency from the Falcons. It wasn't a high scoring beatdown. The Saints were really in this game up until the fourth quarter. But you saw the Falcons, they never really let control of the game fully slip away from them. When things got tight, we saw the defense step up, we saw them make plays, and then the Falcons, they were able to come out in the fourth quarter, and Kirk Cousins was able to put in the dagger on that shitty franchise, and we were able to get out of there with a win. And speaking of Kirk Cousins, he gave the Falcons a quarterback performance that, especially after losing your guy in Michael Penix, you really needed. He didn't set the world on fire, but at the end of the day, he went in there. He was efficient, 16 for 23, 199 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, an interception that really wasn't on him. It was a performance that you can really ask for your quarterback. It was a stop the bleeding performance. He went in there. He provided you stability, and he provided you steady veteran leadership, which is something that this team critically needs right now. We saw him get guys involved. David Sills caught his first ever touchdown yesterday. We saw him in many points take what the defense gave him. He never really tried to put the ball in too many dangerous situations. There were some awful drops by Kyle Pitts, which Kyle Pitts is really one of the only negatives from this game yesterday. Kyle Pitts needs to go, but I'm not going to talk about that today. And we saw Darnell Mooney, who we have been waiting on all season long to pop and really have that game, or just have that catch that could remind us just why we brought Darnell Mooney in here. We know Darnell Mooney, he had an amazing year last year with Kirk Cousins starting most of the year, and we saw Darnell Mooney come to life on that long touchdown in the fourth quarter. And it really can instill a lot of confidence that really Darnell Mooney needs. Darnell Mooney needed that. Kirk Cousins, I feel like, needed that. I feel like everyone needed this victory. And, it's definitely what we got. The Falcons, they went in there and, they were very efficient. They ran the ball. Bijan Robinson with another stellar game, over 100 yards from scrimmage. Tyler Algier got the ball 12 times. It's really a lot that we have been asking for. And for the first time, not just this entire season, but really since Zach Robinson arrived a couple years ago, we saw the Falcons go under center more this game than we have seen any other game in the past 2 years. We saw Kirk Cousins comfortable under center. We saw the offense being able to operate in multiple aspects. We saw a run game that was efficient. We saw a lot of second and third and ones that were able to be successfully converted. We saw play action thrive. It's what we've been asking for. And at the end of the day, I think there's conversations to be had later on why that is, why we haven't seen a lot of under center play action until this moment. But at the end of the day, all that matters, we got the win versus the Saints. That's really all I care about. This is a win that you need, especially this time of year. With Thanksgiving coming up, the holidays coming up, you need something that you can hang your hat on, something that you can be satisfied with. And this is definitely something that is going to satisfy me at least for the next week. It makes you feel very good, at least for 1 week, despite the season that the Falcons have had in an overall circumstance. But what I really think is interesting about this game on Sunday is that you saw a lot of 13 personnel use from the Falcons. If you don't know what 13 personnel is, it's one running back and three tight ends. It sounds very similar to some of the things we would see being used in the Arthur Smith days. That is what we saw used yesterday. We saw it used a whopping 60% of all the offensive snaps, which I just saw a stat is actually the most usage of 13 personnel in a single NFL game since 2016. That is clearly what the Falcons thrived in yesterday. That is what the doctor ordered. I think Kirk Cousins had a lot to do with that, in all honesty. I think Kirk Cousins, you got to give him his credit where credit is due. Kirk Cousins, he got a lot of slack at the end of last year. There were a lot of people that did not want Kirk Cousins here this season, including myself. But you give Kirk Cousins credit where credit is due. When you need a veteran to step up, you need him to calm the situation down. We saw Kirk Cousins be able to do just that. And moving over to the defensive side of the ball, they showed up and they showed out yet again. Another 4-sack day for the defense. Another 2-turnover day for the defense. Everyone was flying around. They made that New Orleans offense's life, they made Tyler Shuck's life a living hell all day yesterday. From 3 to 6 local time, you saw the Falcons defense commit homicide out there. And it was absolutely beautiful to see. It was absolutely beautiful to see. They did what they had to do. They shut the Saints offense down. Everyone was flying around. And I really posed a question before this game. It was going to come down to what team wanted it more. And when it really just comes down to, the difference in how the Saints and the Falcons, how they were tackling, how they were hitting, what the sense of urgency was like, the confidence that they displayed. The Falcons had that edge all day. And when a team has that type of edge, and especially in a game like this, there's really no matching that. And, that is what I think put together this complete game performance that we have really been looking for out of the Falcons, that we really haven't gotten since at least the Buffalo Bills game earlier this year. So you love to see it. You love to see things come together, and you love to see it come together against the Saints. The coaching, they didn't screw it up. Jeff Ulbrich, obviously, with the masterclass on defense. You give Zach Robinson, you also give Kirk Cousins, I think, a lot of credit for how this offense came out yesterday. And, that is really that. But before this video ends, I do want to give out some game balls. And we have quite a few to give out. The first one is going to a guy that I've been waiting to give one to all season long. That's Darnell Mooney. 3 catches, 74 yards. 1 touchdown, that long 49-yard dagger in the fourth quarter that really put it away. For the first time all year, you saw Darnell Mooney. You saw him play with some energy. You saw him comfortable. You saw him catching those balls that he caught last year in his career year with Kirk Cousins throwing him the ball. And you hope to obviously see more of it from Darnell Mooney. You needed someone to step up in the absence of Drake London. Darnell Mooney, he earned his money yesterday. He showed you exactly why you are paying him. So give it up for Darnell Mooney. He easily gets a game ball. Next game ball. This is also a pretty easy one. James Pierce Jr. 1.5 sack yesterday. He was flying all around. He's been on fire the past couple days, and I would say it is pretty good from our 2026 first round pick. There's a lot of people that are complaining about us not having that pick, the Rams having that pick. The way I look at it, we got two amazing players out of that trade. James Pierce Jr. obviously being the guy we traded up for back into the first round. And our 2026 first round pick is working out pretty nicely in 2025. The next guy, this is someone who's been having an amazing season so far, Brandon Dorless. And when we talk about this Falcons pass rush finally coming to life, Brandon Dorless has really been at the head of that all season long. Another guy who had 1.5 sacks yesterday, was flying all around the field. I believe he now has 6 sacks on the season. He has really stepped up for this team. You wanted to see who is going to be that young guy that would step up. Brandon Dorless has especially been that guy so far in 2025 for this team. Got to give out another game ball. There's quite a bit of game balls we're giving out. But when you beat the Saints, when you beat down on the Saints, you're going to get some game balls. And this guy is someone who we have been sorely missing. We haven't won with him out. So to have him back in the lineup certainly does help. That is Divine Diablo. With the cast on his arm, he went out there yesterday. He flied all around the field. He was making his presence known, and you could really tell that there is quite a difference in this defense with him playing and with him not playing. He truly is proven to be that difference maker for Jeff Ulbrich, for this defense. And as long as he is out there, you're going to see this defense week after week causing absolute hell and putting opposing offenses in absolute havoc along the way. And this final game ball, I'm giving out 5 game balls here. There's, a lot of game balls to give out, but this guy, I feel like you got to give him credit too for the game he had yesterday. It's D. Alford. He had the fumble recovery, 10 tackles. Man, when you talk about the resurgence and the work that Jeff Ulbrich has done this year on defense at times, and it hasn't always been pretty, but when you talk about the work and the improvement you've seen from this defense, D. Alford's the perfect example of that. This is a guy who at the end of last year, a lot of people wanted him out of here. We did not want to re-sign him, but Jeff Ulbrich came in, gave him another chance, and he's been doing absolute wonders this year when his number has been called. So you give it up for all those guys, and you give it up for the Falcons in general, because I'm going to continue to say it. It's always amazing when you beat down on the stinking Aints. But anyways, with that being said, enjoy your victory Monday, Falcons fans. Enjoy this victory over New Orleans. And we got another game coming up next week against the Jets. And at this point, with 6 games left to go, and this has been an up and down season, you can really only take it one game at a time. That's all I'm going to say. Just enjoy the win versus the Saints. Enjoy your Thanksgiving week. Enjoy Thursday. Enjoy Friday. Enjoy the weekend, man. It's a football weekend. And enjoy this victory. I cannot stress this enough. Enjoy any victory over the Saints. With that being said, appreciate everyone for watching. Remember to like, remember to subscribe. And I will see you all in the next video.